you want to be able to donate or purchase a question, you can find my Cash App, PayPal, Amazon wish list in the description box below. And then you just send payment and throw your question in the box below. Or if you're donating, you just throw a donation my way. Sometimes I don't see them pop up right away, so let me know in the comments below that you did as well. Really looking forward to today's reading. I had plans to put some of the abuse types in here and discuss some of the things that we've went through collectively. And what's crazy is this one actually came out in the picture messages. So I accidentally put it in the picture message bag, apparently. It was pretty crazy. I kind of wish you guys would have been there for it. Anyway, let's see what else we're going to be adding to this today. We got sexual abuse out here already. Abuse of rape, molestation, using or making threats, force, or taking advantage of an inability to consent. We got narcissistic abuse, ego and insecurity projected as an inflated sense of self. We're going to grab two more. Sexual harassment. So that is definitely doubly out here, especially considering this one accidentally got put in the picture messages as well. May trigger past assaults. PTSD makes you feel like you are at fault. You want to be invisible. You feel alone. Hide away from the world. In danger, like you need to get clean. A child of an addict. Drugs and alcohol was most important, and everything else was second place. And it doesn't even have to be drugs and alcohol. I mean, it could be sex. Sex was most important, so they were busy doing that instead of paying attention. Food. Food can get to that level sometimes. Hoarding can get to that level sometimes. They could have been somebody who stayed stuck in the house all the time. Some of you could have actually been the child of someone who was raped as well. And they could have had a lot of their own PTSD, and they could have refused to leave the house because of it. That could have been something that impacted you a lot. Hi guys, nice to see you today. So at this point in time in life, you may feel like you are winning. You are on the road to success. You've been really navigating everything in a very good way. You've been uncovering a lot of beauty inside of yourself as well. And you feel like you have found the perfect path to recovery as well for a lot of you. And if you haven't found that yet, you are well on your way towards that. There's a lot of things from your childhood that you are really focused on right now, or your past that you're really focused on right now. And you're trying to decide which way now. Which way do I go moving forward? Because you may have never been taught to live the type of life that you want to live. You were taught to live a completely different life. And now you're trying to figure out exactly how to navigate this life, to bring success in, and to live a successful life where you don't have to deal with the abuse of the past. Aries is here and Leo is here. For a lot of you, this has something to do with your mother as well. 22 and 333 was just on the screen too. You are very protected, but you may not have been very protected by the people that were physically around you in your childhood. These people could have overlooked you, or they could have, you could have been the scapegoat in a lot of situations. You could have been made out to be the liar, the bad child, the one that could do no right and was always doing wrong. And then when it came time for you to express what was going on, no one believed you in ways. Hi, Leia. There was a lot of confusion created in your childhood as well. Chaos, drama, fights, arguments. Somebody definitely had some pretty severe addictions. Somebody could have actually been addicted to gambling as well. Somebody could have did this online, or they may have done it in an actual casino, but somebody could have been addicted to gambling. They could have even visited like illegal gaming halls if you live somewhere where it's not legal as well. Messages are coming in. Listen closely. Listen closely to the news, to what you read online, to the videos you watch, to the messages you receive from other people, or the phone calls that you receive. There may actually even be a phone number of some sort of like spam caller or something that pops up on your screen. and there's going to be angel number in that. All of these things are leading you as well and showing you the way, kind of giving you a roadmap of how to handle the situations that you're dealing with currently in a different manner than you have in the past. You could be dealing with people like crossing boundaries or making you feel uncomfortable when they're sitting too close or touching you in too familiar of a way. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with addressing these people. If somebody comes up to you and sits really close to you to where they're like making body contact while they're sitting down next to you and it makes you feel uncomfortable, you are perfectly fine scooting away from this person a little bit. And if they give you some kind of weird energy because of it, just be like, you know what? That made me feel uncomfortable. And I would appreciate if we could have a little bit of space between us when you sit down next to me like that. And if they want to throw a big fit or something like that, or if they want to, well, you know, it's not like I was going to do anything or something like that, then just be like, you know what? If you can't handle that, then you can go away. Because here's the thing. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with me. And it makes me feel uncomfortable. And if you can't respect my feelings, then you can move away from me because I don't need that around me. Not to mention, most of the people who are getting defensive like that are the ones who are actually doing something a lot of times. A lot of times they felt your uncomfortableness and they didn't care. They were shoving right over that boundary. They were triggering you and they intentionally did so. Some of them are actually doing that because I have dealt with people who actually do that. So don't look back now. One step at a time. Keep moving forward. Some of you could have dealt with your own addictions as well because of what has happened in your past. You could have been having a hard time trying to deal with the emotions of it or deal with the PTSD of it or deal with the people around you even, and trying to figure out how to walk through life without feeling like you're always going to be everyone's doormat or everybody's always going to treat you the same as you have been treated in the past. You could have dealt with a lot of why me and why would people be hurting me and how come this always has to happen no matter what I do. This is something that just keeps happening and it's not fair and all that kind of stuff. Thank you, beautiful. I really appreciate that. I've been through a lot of abuse myself, and one of the ones that I am most familiar with would be the sexual abuse. It started very young in my life, and it's kind of been a repeated pattern throughout most of my life. The last couple of years, there hasn't been much of it, and it's been really nice. Of course, during my marriage, there wasn't much of it either, but that's because, you know, I just kind of locked myself away from the world in a way. So, of course, there wasn't much of it. Nobody had access to me. But now people have access to me and I'm not being used and abused in those ways, which is fucking phenomenal. And you can get to that point as well. A lot of it takes strength and courage. The strength and courage to speak, even when you feel afraid, to voice what you need to voice, even when it feels like it doesn't want to come out. You might feel nauseous a bit. You might feel shaky a bit, things like that. But you need to stand your ground and you need to express yourself. And every time you do it, you will feel stronger. You will feel more solid. You will feel like you are doing the right thing. And your inner child is going to jump up and down with joy because finally somebody is protecting your inner child. And that somebody's going to be you. That somebody that comes in and is the hero in your inner child's life is you. One of the things that works really well for this as well is a regressive hypnotic type of therapy session where you actually go back in your timeline to the point in time where you were being hurt and your adult self kind of walks into the room and steps between you and the person hurting you, speaks what needs to be spoken to that person and walks you out of that room to safety. And that may actually be something that really helps you to be able to step into that role in your everyday life too. There's some of them that you can find on YouTube. I was actually thinking I might start doing some of those kind of things as well on here. We'll see how it goes in the future. So, you could have dealt with, there could have been like a step parent figure in your household too who was extremely manipulative. Somebody that was able to really twist and turn and mold people around them to what they wanted them to be. Your parent could have even been this way, or even a sibling. There could have been a sibling that was this way. Your sibling could have been the reason why you were always in trouble for everything that happened. Yeah, there's definitely, you've definitely felt like you have been very targeted throughout your life. And it's been extremely hard for you to deal with the chaos, the confusion, not being able to see things clearly a lot of times as well has been a problem for you. There could have even been an incident at a park for somebody in particular as well that happened. This one could have been something more recently. And whether or not you feel like these were things that had to happen in your life, they were. This is your path. It is only meant for you. It may seem crazy, but it's real. It's as unique as your own fingerprint, and it is something that you had to walk down in order to be able to be who you are meant to be in your life. 11:11 was just on the clock. In order to align yourself with your path, with your purpose, with what you're meant to be in this world and the light that you're meant to bring to people, the impact that you're meant to make in your lifetime through being seen in some way, through your story being shared and heard. Look at me sitting here today. Same thing. If I wouldn't have went through everything that I went through, I wouldn't be here talking to you about everything that you went through. So would I want it to happen again? No, I wouldn't want it to happen again. 11:44 was just on the clock too. But that is what built my foundation. So I wouldn't change it. I would not go back and change what has happened because I would not be here today. And even if I was, I would not be who I am today. Everything that we went through may not be our identity, and we may not have to continue being that, but it does make up our identity. It does make up who we are, and we can never change that. That is something that makes up a piece of us, a part of us. It is something that is inside of us and will always be. And without that something inside of you, you would not be who you are. So once you have learned how to love yourself and your life, and once you have seen the impact that you make on everyone around you, 44 is on the clock again, or on the screen again. Once you see that impact, you can't unsee it. Once you love yourself in that way, you can't undo that. And that includes loving all of those things that have happened to you and being at peace with them, instead of being in that victimhood mentality of, why did these things have to happen? And why wasn't I protected? And why wasn't anybody there? It's reminding me right now of that. I'm getting that part on Once Upon a Time where Princess Snow and the prince go back in time to when their daughter was young and she was being abused in her foster care home. And they were getting ready to go in there and grab her and take her out of there. And Snow White stops him. And she's like, we can't. And he's like, what are you talking about? We're right here. We can do something. We're her parents. We have to go in there and we have to protect her. And she tells him, if we do that right now, she will never become the savior. She will never fulfill the prophecy. She will never be what she was meant to be. So we have to walk away right now. So you may have felt like your guides left you all alone in this dark place, like your God and goddess, or whoever it is that you believe in, were not there during that time. I spent 3 years of my childhood crying myself to sleep every night and praying that I would wake up from the nightmare that I was living in on the nights that I slept. But it wasn't a nightmare, it was real life. And it took a little while for things to be put in place to get me out of there, especially since I wasn't doing anything to get me out of there. Child or not, I didn't do anything to get me out of there. Even when it all came out, it was because my younger sister was called down to the counselor's office. She used to rock on her chair in school on the side of it, and they considered that self-masturbation, a form of self-masturbation. And so it's a sign of being sexually abused at home. So they called her down to the office and they talked to her about it, and she told them. They came and picked me up at school. And when they called me down to the office, I was like, I never get called down to the office. I bet this has something to do with that. And I walked in that room and there was a caseworker in there and there was a police officer in there. And I was like, this has something to do with it. I know it does. And so I got in the car. She's like, we got to go down to the police station. You're going to ride with me. And I got in the car with her and she's like, so do you know what this has to do with? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I know what this has to do with. And she's like, with Phil? And I was like, yep. And she's like, and we just sat quietly. And I was like, who said something? Was it Amber? Because my older sister was in the house with us for about a year before she moved out when we moved in with him. And I was thinking maybe he had done something to her. And so the whole time down to the police station, I'm questioning that. Luckily, it wasn't very far away from my school. And we get down there and they asked us all the questions and everything came out. I told them everything that happened. And at that point, my little sister didn't talk again. She talked while she was in the school. She didn't talk to nobody else again. And then I found out that she was the one who had talked to him. We went to foster care for that weekend. And the night we came back, me and my sister were laying in our bedroom. And I asked her what had happened. She said something about when she was in kindergarten and taking her naps and him coming in. And then she rolled over and pretended like she was asleep. We didn't talk about it again for about 13, 14 years. And I apologized to her for not doing something more to protect her, for not saying something, for not stopping him sooner, something along those lines. My little brother, a few years after that, we were discussing why he didn't want to have kids. And he said he didn't want to have kids because he didn't want to do what was done to him or what was done to us either. And I was like, you wouldn't do any of that, Robert. You're fucking amazing with kids. But that's why he don't want to have kids. And he's like, I should have done something for you and Sonia. I'm so sorry. And he started crying. He's like, I was your brother. I was supposed to protect you. I was like, Robert, you were a child. What the hell were you supposed to do? I was a child. What was I supposed to do? What were any of us supposed to do? We were children. We are not the ones who are to blame for his crap. And I was like, he is the one who is responsible for that. He's like, but I was your brother. I was supposed to protect you. And I was like, you were my little brother. I was supposed to protect you too. Where was I to protect you? Where was I to protect Sonia? We were all children and he was our authority figure. He was responsible for us. He was the one we're supposed to be listening to. Not to mention my mom had a habit of putting whoever was her man at that time ahead of us in a way. So that doesn't help matters any either. Anyway, so we're going to see what other messages the universe has to talk to us about today in dealing with these forms of abuses that we have been through along our journey. The ones that came out were sexual abuse, narcissistic abuse, sexual harassment, and child of an addict. So a lot of you could definitely be dealing with some sexual harassment right now that is triggering memories of this sexual abuse and that is triggering a desire in you to want to be able to heal whatever is going on so that you don't feel like you have to, every time you turn around, deal with somebody else that is harassing you in some way or making you feel uncomfortable in some way or triggering you in some way and not even being sure of whether or not they're doing something wrong or if it's just because of what you went through. And a lot of times that is how we feel. Is it because they're actually doing something or is it because of what I went through? 9 times out of 10, they are actually doing something, but you're questioning it because of that history. That's why I was saying before, if somebody is making you feel uncomfortable in a certain situation, I completely forgot to grab my backpack over here, guys. And excuse the mess in my car. That little new puppy has been chewing up lots of things in between things. So she chewed up my whole roll of napkins everywhere. Anyway, that's why I was saying, because it usually is real in some way, shape, or form. Do not have any qualms about putting somebody in their place. If you ask them not to do something because it makes you feel uncomfortable and they want to throw a fit about it or act weird about it or anything of the sort, you know what? They don't need to be around you then. That person does not need to be around you If they cannot respect your boundaries, and if they can't be okay with it, and if they feel like you're somehow saying something bad about them because of it, they apparently have something that they're feeling then that has to do with themselves and how they treat people. So do not let them talk you out of protecting yourself and standing up for yourself and doing what's best for you and your mental health and not them and theirs. Self-soothing can be very effective. Find a self-soothing technique that does not hurt yourself or others. Walks, jogs, hiking, a warm blanket cocoon, a nice fire, music, shower, and stuffed or real animals to cuddle. Curling up and watching a movie that was your favorite movie when you were a kid, a movie that almost made you feel safe and comfortable and at home. Maybe even a movie that you kind of escaped to because that would have been your dream reality. God, I really loved, when I was a kid, I absolutely loved Barney and Full House and Bob Ross. And you know what? Some of those things really help today when I'm feeling upset, especially Bob Ross. I actually found out a couple years ago that it's not just me. I watch a lot of Bob Ross when I'm feeling upset. My siblings all turn on Bob Ross when they're feeling upset or when they're having insomnia problems, and he calms them right down and helps them go to sleep. He was like our father on TV, because for many years we didn't even have a male figure in our house. You're welcome, love. Thank you for being here today, too. I really enjoy this board, too. When I was trying to figure out what I was going to use as a background or something to put all my stuff on when I was doing it in the car last week, I was like 10 minutes away from going live, and I was stopping by the gas station to throw my trash in the trash before I headed over to where I was doing that at. And I opened the trash thing and was like, oh, hey, there's a couple boards in here that I can use. It's their old lottery boards. So this is actually for the Share the Love lottery ones during Valentine's Day for the Idaho lottery. And you know what? I don't have any problems with the lottery. The lottery, they donate a lot of the proceeds that they get to our schools around here and to our roads around here. And since we don't have legalized weed that does that, that's where most of our school and road money comes from, especially since we live in a Republican state where everybody's like, oh, we shouldn't have to take care of other people's kids. So they don't raise the school levy very often because they feel like it's not their responsibility, which is funny because you know what? They all got school in this country. Shouldn't the future generations as well? And don't we want an intelligent country? One that is educated? Anyway, whether they're our kids or not, if you want an intelligent country, then you gotta, pay for that intelligence. Get active to release the toxic energies within. Ride a bike, hike, chop wood, clean, organize. Art, writing, yoga, stretching, and activities will help with this. So, when it comes to exercise, it's a very efficient way to help you get out of a slump and to help you feel better. It releases a lot of endorphins and serotonin in your brain. It's something that also helps you to be able to, when you intentionally do it, even when you don't intentionally do it, to be able to release that blocked energy, that stuck and stagnant energy, the lower vibrations that you're dealing with. And it helps to pump those higher vibrations and that higher energy throughout your body and throughout your system, making you feel good again, making you feel alive again, vital again. It helps you to really be able to get out of bed in the morning, honestly. And it also helps to be able to, a lot of you could be dealing with a lot of pain throughout your body, especially when it comes to like your shoulders, your neck, migraines, your back in general, maybe even hips and knees. A lot of this could be attributed to that stuck energy that's throughout your body, maybe even stomach problems or UTI problems or kidney problems, things like that. And this could have to do with your shame or your feelings of fear or wrongness when it comes to sex and sexual relationships, or how you interact with people on a regular basis. Even just that flirting that happens when you're not even trying to flirt. or when it comes to not expressing things and not expressing yourself and not getting your voice out there, all of those things can cause a lot of those issues. And so exercising will also be able to help transmute some of that energy as well. But expressing yourself and being able to be who you are and being able to feel the desires that you feel without fear or shame or guilt or worry, that is going to be something that's really going to heal a lot of that pain throughout your body as well that has been left behind from this abuse that you have gone through. And you may think, well, it wasn't physical abuse, so why is it affecting my body that way? It's amazing what mental, emotional, sexual abuse can do to your body, can do to your mental faculties too, but can do to your body. It can really cause a lot of pain, a lot of just problems, really, especially when it comes to your sexual organs, your stomach area, your shoulders, neck, back, head, things like that. So, some you time to relax. Meditation, massage, bath, shower. If it is too stressful, then take a break and come back to it later. It will be much easier to deal with if you have a fresh and rested mind. So, if you feel like you cannot express yourself in those moments we were talking about earlier, if you feel like you're having trouble figuring out what you should say or how you should address the issue, then just excuse yourself for the moment. Take some time for you and come back and address it a few minutes later, a few days later, or next time it happens. So let's see what else we get. A love that is true. I deserve a love that's true, no longer feeling blue. My soul longs for someone real, one who has the nuts to seal the deal. Ready for someone to step up, I have learned how to fill my cup. So many things left unsaid, all the tears that have been shed. No more sitting on a shelf, time to truly love myself. Claiming abundance that rains down on me, prayers are answered for all to see. Somebody who really loves you is going to have absolutely no problem in dealing with these things that have happened, and having to deal with the pieces that may have been broken off that you're putting back together, and having to deal with your strange boundaries or the way that you do things that you may be feeling is, weird, or people aren't going to be able to handle that, or whatever the case may be. Even if you're somebody that can't have sex at this moment, or can't have sex for a little while, or can't get off, or has pain during it, or whatever the case may be, you will meet somebody that is going to be able to handle the fact that you have to set certain boundaries, or the fact that you have to move slowly in certain areas, or the fact that they have to win over your trust. Even if they've done nothing to destroy it up front, they may have to win to work it over like they were the one who did it themselves. And somebody who loves you will be able to do that. Somebody who loves you may have some emotions and feelings about it, of course, and they may express those. But they are going to be respectful of you, and they're going to work with you on the issues that you have. And they're not going to expect you to just throw those in the trash and be ready to do whatever they're wanting to do with no regard for how you're feeling in that moment. So, this is the Skyrim deck. We got the World. We got the 7 of Spells, the 8 of Spells, the 2 of Voice. Narcissistic abuse was one of the big ones too that popped out at the beginning, and the Ace of Voice. So when you deal with narcissistic abuse, especially at a very young age, it can be extremely hard for you to voice anything. And that's because you were constantly gaslighted, manipulated. You dealt with somebody controlling, somebody possessive, somebody that really didn't give you your freedom to be able to be independent of them. You were an extension of them. And anything that you did translated back to them. So they had to make sure to control you and keep you doing what they felt like was a good thing to be seen as themselves. They wanted you to be just like them, basically. And the majority of you are probably on the opposite side of that spectrum and very empathic, very loving, very intuitive, very caring, very freedom giving. But it's time to snatch that freedom back for yourself now, too. And also to realize that when you were dealing with these situations, you had to be very aware of the emotions of everyone around you, of the way they were acting, of what was going on, of how you were acting, and what it was causing in other people, instead of believing that other people were the cause of their own pain or their own situations they were going through. So that's how you became an empath. And being an empath is an amazing thing. But learning how to detach yourself is an amazing thing too. I realize you've probably dealt with a lot of detached people and you're like, how the fuck is it amazing being a fucking piece of shit asshole who doesn't care about anybody's feelings? That's not what it is. It's detaching yourself enough that their feelings are not your feelings. That you don't turn into that narcissist where they're an extension of you. Think about it for a second. So, you really need to be able to detach from their feelings so you're not carrying them around on your shoulders. That's another thing that will cause that shoulder pain and that back pain and those headaches and that neck pain, all that kind of crap, is carrying everybody else's crap on your shoulders, carrying the world on your shoulders like everything is your responsibility. And you caused it all. You didn't cause it all. You're not responsible for it all. And sometimes you need to be able to listen to somebody's sad story and then drop it at the fucking door when you go home. So you're not carrying it around with you, worrying about it, wondering about it, feeling like I needed to do something about this. I need to do something about me right now. I need to take care of me right now. Today, I can't worry about that because that is that person's problem right now, not mine. So, learning how to love yourself and express what is within. Learning how to really be okay with not having to take care of everything around you all the time. So, since I have not used the star or the Skyrim cards very much, I'm going to go ahead and read what the Ace of Voice and the Two of Voice mean. This marks the beginning of a great emotional awakening, either with others or within yourself. Divine power will fill your voice, and from that, your life will brim with joy, contentment, and peace. So joy, contentment, and peace are going to come into your life when you start taking this path of believing that you deserve that same love and attention that you give out to other people. Of believing that you deserve to voice yourself as much as anybody else does. And then voicing your authenticity. You have gained a companion for your journey. Whether that be a friend, a mentor, or a romantic interest, this comrade will help to balance out your party, allowing you to take on greater quests. And that's exactly what I was talking about a minute ago. If somebody actually loves you and cares about you, whether it's in a fucking romantic way or not, a friendship way, a family way, it doesn't matter. If they actually love you, then they are going to be there to support you, to care about you too, to give to you in an emotional way too, and not to just expect from you while not giving that back. And you're going to have some respectful people coming into your life to do just that. So I'm also going to go back and read the spells ones too. A competition lies before you, and only through courage do you dare to hope to succeed. Keep your sword and your spells at the ready, because victory is assured. Hi, Lyran Kitten. Ask your question, sweetheart. Thank you so much for purchasing today. I really appreciate you. You are approaching the end of a long quest, and your reward lies ahead. Do not be hasty. The end boss still awaits, and you must be prepared to defeat it. The biggest enemy that we have is within ourselves. When we cross our own boundaries, when we make exceptions for people, when we decide we are not worthy of whatever it is that we want, when we decide that we just need to go hide in our bedroom instead of facing this world, when we decide we're not worth fighting for, stepping up for, when we decide that we are useless, or that what we want doesn't matter, or that who we are doesn't matter, or that where we are doesn't matter. We are our biggest enemy. And that is the enemy that you're going to have the hardest time fighting. Yourself. Your desire to go against everything you're learning to do right now and to backtrack and go back into the way that you used to do it. That's the biggest enemy. The feeling of, I just want things to be easier and I don't want to have to work so hard. The feeling of, I'm not being myself because I'm not being a fucking doormat for everybody. But did you like being a doormat for everybody? No. So that's not yourself. Yourself is the person who is doing what is most authentic to them and not allowing everybody to walk all over them. It's good to see you again too, by the way, Lyran Kitten. I was wondering if I was going to, but I was pretty sure I was. Sometimes it's really hard to hear things. Anyway, the world. The world has been found within you, and Akatosh has granted his blessings. Your journey is now complete, and you have been rewarded, not only with triumph, but also with a deeper connection to both spiritual and material. The world represents all that is and all that will ever be, a connection and a deeper understanding of the universe and your place within it. Such is the knowledge of Akatosh, dragon god of time, just as he encompasses endurance, invincibility, and everlasting legitimacy. So too can you. It may be hard to find Akatosh because this is from the Skyrim thing. So if you're looking it up and it comes up with a bunch of video game stuff, that's why. And it's spelled Akatosh if anybody wanted to be able to look him up. You are meant to be seen. You're meant to be heard. You're meant to be in the spotlight. And with the healing that you are doing now, you are bringing yourself out of invisibility. So it is going to take a little while for you to feel comfortable in the spotlight. But that's why this healing is so important, because the gifts that you possess, the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom that you have within you because of everything that you have gone through and all that you have learned is meant to be heard by the world. Your story is meant to be heard by the world. And it's going to leave a very large impact and a very strong legacy behind you as you do this. You are breaking those chains and freeing yourself from that past so that you can stand tall and strong in the face of the war that you're fighting. And that's where you're meant to be, is in the front lines. And for a while now, you've been hiding out in the back, hoping that you don't have to be a part of the battle. But you are the battle. Thank you, beautiful. I appreciate that. I kind of knew you were. It can be extremely hard sometimes. I really don't like having to do it. At times I really don't like having to do it, but it's so much better than the sugar-coated bullshit at the end of the day. No one is perfect, but all are amazing. It's all in how we use our gifts. I might judge others harshly at points, but this is because I am judging myself. Once again, that shame, that guilt, that fear, that whatever it is that's holding you back, that keeps you from doing and being who you want to be, it's because of judgment. And if you look around at the world and you notice that you're judging certain people or certain actions or behaviors, look at yourself. What are you judging inside of you? Recently, I went and did a boudoir photo shoot. And I have every intention of sharing some of the less risky pictures on here with you guys. It's no worse than a swimsuit, for one thing. For another thing, a few years back, my ex's entire family was disgusted with the way that his nieces were behaving because they were constantly taking pictures of themselves where you could see down their shirt and things like that. And I was right there alongside of them thinking, wow, this is really awful and horrible, and looking at it like it was a bad thing. A bad thing that what? They have confidence and they decided it's not my responsibility or problem if you in some way find this wrong? Or want to somehow label me simply because people can see parts of my bodies? What kind of shit is that? Not My Responsibility by Billie Eilish, if that in any way resonates with you. Oh, and the I can't remember the name of the song right now, but 'cause I can't say no, no, I can't say no. What is it? Spit it out. Am I cleaning you out? I can't remember exactly how that song goes, but Lose a Friend or something like that is the name of the song. And basically that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about expressing yourself and letting people know what's wrong and what's okay and what is not okay. And if they can't fucking handle that, they don't need to be your friend. And if you stay there and allow them to abuse you in that way, it puts you in that state of mind of just a lot of despair. You get put and trapped in that black fucking void again of nastiness and nothingness and awfulness. And it's just fucking horrible. So as hard as it is to voice yourself and express yourself in those moments and put a stop to that situation, there are much worse things in this world like not doing it. Just like with death, you know, death is bad, sure. But there are much worse things in this world than death, and that is allowing that person to do that fucking thing to me again. Because I did a few years ago, I just kind of went into actress mode and allowed whatever to happen. That was like 7 years ago-ish, I don't know. And afterwards, I was like, holy shit, no. It doesn't matter what could have happened, whether we were alone or not, whether I could have got beat to death or not. It doesn't fucking matter. That would have been less bad than doing what I did and conceding and giving in and surviving instead. My phone is being retarded today and not charging in the right way. So hopefully it doesn't end up shutting off here in a little bit, guys. I am sorry if it does. You definitely better ask that question, Lyrin, just so that we make sure we get to it. It's time to look at your shadow. It's time to look at the shadows of others, and it's time to see how we are reacting to those situations. Unconditional love is knowing that we all have both. We all have a light side and a shadow side. Every single one of us. My mom had some really awful things that she did when we were kids. She also had some really fucking amazing things that she did. I'll put it this way. At one point in time, I took her with me to return a ring that I got from JCPenney's. And I'm allergic to most metals. So we got a 24 karat white gold ring. And it was supposed to be solid white gold. It was not solid white gold. I ended up, I'm going to grab this other charging pack just to make sure, because this charging pack's being stupid today. Ugh. Anyway, so I wanted to make sure that it was solid white gold because I'm allergic to most metals. I wanted to make sure I wasn't allergic to that ring. And it was like a $400 ring that we had bought. I take it home. A week later, it's turning colors. I'm allergic to it. My finger's breaking out. And it is leaving my finger green. And I told my mom, I was like, she's like, did you want me to go down there with you? I was like, I would really appreciate it if you did, because I know she ain't going to give me my money back. She's going to try to talk me into some other stupid thing. And I don't want to do that. I just want my money back. So make sure I get my money back. We go down there, and this lady, sure enough, she's trying to talk me into sending it in to get re-dipped because there's no such thing as white gold. And I'm like, what? There's no such thing as white gold? She's like, yeah, it's a thing that we dip them into. It's not something that you can actually, and I'm like, if you can dip it into white gold, then there is a such thing as white gold. And she keeps trying to go on with this. And my mom's like, look, you're saying it's going to take 3 weeks to send this ring in and get it dipped. She's had it for 1 week. So she's supposed to send it in for 3 weeks and get it dipped. And then a week later, she's going to have to do the same thing. So it's going to be being sent away to get dipped more often than it's on her finger. Why would she even want this ring? Give her her fucking money back right now. We don't want anything else. We want her money back. 44.55 was just on the clock. So she gave me my money back, and we went to Kmart and got a ring that was way better. Kmart has phenomenal jewelry if anybody's looking, and it is very cheap, but phenomenal quality. I had my original ring that I got from my ex. I wore it for 10 years solid, and it never had a problem with it. Also, I had it for like 2 or 3 years after that till somebody stole it out of my fucking RV a couple years ago. And it never had a problem with it the entire time. And it was a $250 ring, I think, is what it ended up being. So anyway, she may have done some awful things, but she also did some wonderful things. And she also showed me how to be that in my own life. Even if she didn't encourage it in me because she didn't want me being that with her. She's had a really hard time with that the last couple years. If you want me to break free of people, it has to start with you. In doing so, it does not control us anymore. We see our triggers and what comes of them. We realize that it's within our own selves and our own power to be able to change, to be able to affect our world and how we interact with it. We can also decide where we direct those gifts and what intentions they work towards. Every gift has a curse side. Manipulation can also be seen as charisma. One sounds awful and the other sounds good. Then again, some evil people had a lot of charisma. Think about Hitler. It's just classified as manipulation in those cases. When acknowledged and healed, it can be used in amazing ways for really good things in this world. But only if you can stop denying you have it within you, because when you deny it too, it comes out in those bad ways. When you embrace it and use it in those bad ways, it comes out in those bad ways too. But when you embrace it, you have more of a choice in it rather than it just actively working in the background of your life. Is Jesse moving towards you in a romantic way, or should you focus on moving forward? You're very welcome, sweetheart. I can understand that. I don't like making you so nervous about it. Never alone. You might feel like it's too hard to take. Everyone around you is faulty and fake. No place real to rest your head, except at home in your own bed. Know that you are never alone. Continue to stick to your own zone. Real ones will come around when you're ready for them to be found. Leave behind the guilt and the doubt. Turn yourself inside out. Being alone is better by far than fake friends that are not up to par. Lean on your angels and your ancestors too. Feel the love that they have for you. You are strong and made to face whatever life throws. You are the lucky ace. Leave. Focus on you. And know that the more you focus on you and bring out the real you, the more when you come into a new interaction, you're willing to express yourself and say what needs to be said. The more you're not willing to just concede, do whatever everybody else is wanting to do, but you're willing to stand your ground and let people know what you want to do, the more that next situation is going to pan out in a authentic and real way. Or when you first run into them and you are being yourself and this is what I'm interested in, this is not what I'm interested in, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. I told somebody a couple days ago that I don't want to be anyone's number two ever again. No, I'm done with that. I don't want to be number two again. And I don't want to put anybody else in that position of being number two. If we're not thinking about only each other when we're coming into this situation, then we shouldn't be coming into this situation. If we constantly have thoughts of somebody else going on, then we should be dealing with whatever we got going on in that area before moving forward. When you are willing to say that to somebody, that's when you'll know whether or not that person's going to be real with you. If that person's willing to step up and put in the work to make you the number one, then awesome. And if they're not, then you'll know and you'll be able to move forward to something else. And when you're willing to stand that ground and say, yes, this is the path I'm taking, regardless of the fact that I may have wanted this person when I came into this situation, this person isn't what I'm wanting. Because I already expressed what I wanted. They aren't willing to fulfill that. They can't fulfill that, whatever the case may be. And that's okay. because they got their own shit going on. Cool. I'm going to find somebody that can. Because it's not about a specific person. It's about the person that is actually going to be what you're wanting. And not make you feel in this depressed state of having to chase something that just is not going anywhere. The Nine of Scythes and the Eight of Pentacles. You might be feeling in a way that you're living in a waking nightmare in some sort of way. Like it would be your worst fear to have this situation not play out the way that you want it to play out. But rejection is for your own protection. This person is not the person that is meant for you. The person that is meant for you, there's going to be problems, of course. There's problems in every situation. But the majority of the feelings you're going to get from this situation that is good for you is safety, comfort, love, happiness, joy. Just being able to enjoy each other's company and the time you spend with each other, laughing together, playing together, working together, feeling good together, enhancing each other's skills and abilities. You've been working really hard. You've been training. You've been leveling up your skills and your abilities. And you could have, this I already know. This is definitely your boss. And this is somebody that watches over your work. They may have taught you some things. They may have helped you in some ways. But this is a imbalance of power situation. This is a situation where you almost feel like you owe this person something. And so you're conceding in ways that you would not concede in if you felt like you guys were on equal footing. So it's time to find a situation where you feel on equal footing with somebody. And the hard work that you have put in and the things that you've learned from this situation are going to benefit you in the future situations as well. You may feel like you've already been through a lot. You've already put in a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort. You have really been going through it. And even with everything always seems to fall apart. And you can't understand why. Why does it always have to fall apart? Is it going to continue to always fall apart? But those storm clouds eventually clear and the sun comes out. After this situation falls down, that sun's going to come out and you're going to see things clearly. You're going to see things from a different perspective than you've been seeing them. Once this energy clears out, a cord cutting session could help as well. You're going to see how much darkness was involved in this situation. How much wasn't visible. How much it was causing you pain and misery, confusion, to feel lost, like you didn't know your way. And then you're going to be able to close the door on that past. And as you close that door on the past, new doors are going to be opening for you. And you're going to have a lot more wisdom when it comes to which doors you're walking through. And even if you don't choose the best one at that point, and it ends up in a similar fashion, remember that you chose it for a reason, and there was something there for you to learn. Because in learning, the next situation is always going to go a little bit better. This other charger is not working either. I've had a lot of electrical issues lately with certain things. Of course, there's someone in particular that likes to use that one. Yeah, that one doesn't have any power. I don't know why it's not working. If I was a little bit closer to the front of the vehicle, or if there was a cigarette lighter back here, that would be nice. Oops. Breaking things. So. I might just go ahead and call it good for today's live reading so we don't end up shutting off right in the middle of everything. because my phone's down to 4% and it was at 10% when I mentioned it last time, and I'm still not getting any charging from my batteries. But I'm going to do a closeout message before we do. And if it shuts off in the middle of it, I'm sorry. You're very welcome, sweetheart. Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you for taking my advice and trusting me to guide you on your journey. I really appreciate you, and I am so glad that you have been learning and growing and working through the things that you've been working through. You're doing a good job. Don't ever feel like you're not doing a good job. Rest will help you find clarity. I've been in your shoes. So, you know, I'm not perfect, and I've dealt with similar things. That's how I've learned about them. Rest will help you find the clarity. Tune the world out for some peaceful rejuvenation. Allow the world to keep turning without you for once. You can't do everything all the time, and you are not responsible for it all. We've talked about that a lot in today's reading. Empaths have a tendency to do that, to try to take responsibility for everything, to try to fix everything, to feel like it's all their fault and they need to in some way make up for anything they've done that has caused things to be the way they are. Today is not your day for that. Today is your day for rest, for you, for rejuvenation, for a nice long hot shower or bath, to take a walk by yourself, to just enjoy your own energy and call it all back to you. Step out of everybody else's energy. Fucking